Good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. We're here to talk about life, baby. In the intricate tapestry of life, the pursuit of knowledge, skills, and experience that enable us to be able to be useful and effective holds immense significance. As we navigate the challenges and opportunities that life presents, the acquisition of life skills not only equips us with the tools to thrive, but also empowers us to contribute meaningfully to our communities and the world at large. But you have to deal with your own house and keep that in order first. The journey of personal growth and development centered around the cultivation of essential life skills like cooking, like making the house, being able to use tools, fix things, furnish things, just kind of not always have to rely on other people and be self-reliant. It's a skill that not only in the West we covet, but it's also something that can just get you through without ever having to rely on another person, or at least mentally. And when all else fails, there's always another person, but it's nice to know you're your own first line of defense and things. And through this exploration, we delve into profound importance of gaining life skills and understanding various facets that they encompass, and how these skills serve as a compass to guide us towards a purposeful and fulfilled existence. Now, when I was younger, I always liked to cook, and I found this out because I was super picky. And a lot of times in life, you can turn like a bad quality about yourself into something good. And I was always super picky. I bothered the hell out of my mom, really anybody who ordered food. And this perpetuated itself pretty much throughout my whole life. I remember going to Montreal, Canada to, I forget the name of the steakhouse, but went to a world famous steakhouse, and out of spitefulness, I feel like I ordered an eggplant parmesan. I don't even know why, but I just did not want to order a steak. Don't ask me why, but there's just something in me. I don't know what it is, but I did not want to order a steak at that place. I felt like having their eggplant parmesan. I've never ordered an eggplant parm in my life. So anyway, we're getting a little off topic. So there's things where, it might be something bad about you, like you're annoying, you're super picky. But me, I turned that into cooking. And like when I was like 12 years old, pretty early in life, I remember trying to cook an egg. You don't always succeed at first. You'd be surprised how difficult it is to actually make pasta correctly, or rice or something like that. So, boiling water, that's a different story. But if you're talking about cooking like perfect sushi rice, or even just a regular rice, depending on the basmati, and really, a lot of people can be comfortable with certain things, and then those things change, which in cooking, it could be like the utensils, the pans you're using, the type, the brand of something you're using. But anyway, so I was always very picky, and I started to cook when I was younger. So I had an interest in that, but it was also mainly to just like be self-sufficient in that way and just cook for myself, because like I'm even picky about the order of stuff on my sandwich, because I hate when you're eating something and you got like meat sliding out from the sandwich. Like tacos can be the most annoying thing to eat. Burritos, same thing, because you got like shit falling out if they get too soggy. So it's like the construction of these things is important. Every aspect of it. Since I was a little kid, I realized I'm like nitpicky about stuff. So I turned that into being a very analytical person for the most part, and cooking was one of those things to vent that in a way, and kind of use that as a means of getting that out of myself. And there's shortcomings that we have in life. Like you know, by the time I was like 14, I was like overweight, you know. And then by the time I was like 15, I was obese, you know. And there were plenty of shortcomings that I could have focused on, but you know, and they affected me. They affected me. I had a lot of friends, and because I was funny, you know, and that's another thing where you turn it. Most people who are fat are funny. At least they try to be, you know, but a lot of them are successful at that. I mean, there's so much time that you're kind of taking the fire off of you, you know. That's how you can work the situation like that. And I think that just a prevailing mind will go that route. There will be some way that you use to diffuse that that element that is adverse to you, you know? And that's life. Like always learning how to turn things in your favor, you know? And not in a selfish way, but in a prevailing way where, you know, sometimes you might have to be super selfish to prevail. But in the end, that is self-sufficiency, and you know, you really have to take care of yourself first, because that enables you to be able to take care of others equally. And if you're not doing well, I mean, there are some people who are that selfless that they will go out of their way for others, even though, you know, they're in great harm, or, you know, not of sound mind, like Robin Williams, you know, somebody that just continued to make people laugh up until, you know, he wasn't around anymore of his own volition. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can get distracted by, but for every negative that you encounter, there's a positive to that. I seen something today where it's like a condition, like it's like tiger syndrome or something like that, but these people have like a totally different facial structure, and the skeletal structure, everything. I'm not sure about the other deformities that come along with it, but their whole like their whole skull is totally different. Like these people look like they could be another species, you know? And it's a horrible thing to have to like experience, but ultimately, if there's nothing hindering you on a genetic level, or you know, like you can't breathe because your face is different or something like that, you know, those things are super unfortunate, but like you can make everything work. I remember seeing a model that it might be alopecia. That's probably incorrect, but the condition of your skin that can sometimes look like you're spotted, like you'll have patches of white if you're, you know, a black person, and if you're white, you could have other, like, I don't know how it manifests in that. But anyway, I had seen a model that, you know, they have that condition, and I'm sure there are plenty of people throughout her whole life that was telling her that, you know, she was an outcast and she looked weird and she was ugly and all these things. But it's like, when you don't let these things really affect you, I mean, you have to be real. It's important to understand that, like, okay, there are people out there who have this perspective and they see me as, you know, something that's different. But other than the objective value of that, you shouldn't process it for too much more than that. It's like, these things are only going to hinder you, and you shouldn't even put your effort into thinking, how am I going to change that so other people will accept me? That is also like the second level of uselessness in that regard. Like, you're going to pursue all of your time and everything to satisfy other people, and it's not even satisfying them. It's just like, it's taking people's eyes off of you, and it's displacing people's ire, and it's totally unnecessary when you could just forego that and accept those things. And you know, you'll probably, just like that lady who's modeling now, I mean, I seen it as something like amazing. Like as a guy, if my face was like that, I mean, I might not be living the life I am, but one really amazing thing is that like your bone structure is, it looks solid. Again, I don't know if this is an actual like thing that has downsides to it, because everything they were saying, it just looked like some type of skeletal thing. And yeah, man, you would not want to get headbutted or punch that guy in the face. Like, looked like there was 3 inches of cheekbone there. So as a man, especially thinking of like, you know, combat warrior status, you know, that would be insane. And the intimidation factor alone, I mean, you may as well be something from another planet. So that's amazing. And I just feel like, well, I shouldn't say amazing in that way. There are ways that these things can be extrapolated where it's amazing that there's like a whole other side to a lot of things. And when you look at the usefulness of the problems that we encounter and seeing through things, you know, that you might fail at something, but maybe it wasn't something you were good at or even something that you enjoyed doing, you know? So, or that the pursuits you would reach weren't really what you had thought they were. You know, that there's like a million different ways that you could cut that. But in the end, you had an experience, and the most you can do is to learn from those things. And as I was growing up, I had a terrible time. I was way too friendly with women. So I just got like friend zone, and then I just started not caring. By the time I was like 16, 17, I just really did not care for the most part. And I'm serious. Like there are times where you get like jealous and there's envy, but for the most part, I was fairly happy, because when I seen the people who I had chances with and who were just out there in relationships, a lot of the time I always thought like I needed to wait. I needed somebody older. I needed to wait, because the maturity level of the people around me and the things happen, it just wasn't matching up to what I really expected. You know, I have 2 older brothers, so it was a lot easier in life to be able to like look ahead and be like, all right, well, that was no good, and I seen that that was no good, so I'm just gonna stay away from that here. 4 years prior to having heard and seen these things happening, you know, with my older siblings. So there was a lot of things that I learned vicariously. And nowadays with the internet, you can do that. Like even with reality shows, you can learn pretty quick what is going to be kind of annoying in your other that you're looking for. And you can't really get focused on that. You just have to really just keep it inwardly focused. I mean, it sucked. It was, you know what I like to say is that I was alone, but I wasn't lonely. You know, I wanted these things. I wanted a relationship. I wanted a girlfriend. I wanted to have, you know, close friends that were girls. Which, strangely enough, when I was up until like 14, 15, my best friends were mostly girls. And then it's like, it just flipped on its head. So I knew how to be very close with women and how to talk to them and be their friend, you know, but I didn't know how to cross that boundary layer, nor was I too intent on that, you know. It wasn't like I felt like it would always be the fruits of my effort that I got some type of interactivity going on, but you know, it's not always that way. You sometimes you have to make things happen, you know. And I'm not saying like force yourself or anything, but there are, you know, like you have to be physical, you have to touch, you have to like be close to them, you know. You can't just stay at this like friend level. I mean, hugging is a good way to get into things, but obviously that's not, you know, I mean, you want to just be more than vocal, you know, and you work your way through that. But if you end up single, you know, be happy with being alone. And I could say try not to be lonely, but the thing is, it's important that you realize you're not alone, you know. You have so much comfort in the things that you can look to about your future and your pursuits and your inward challenges, that the things, the observations that you should make. Some people don't realize a lot of things about themselves until they're like 50 years old. I mean, it happened with my parents, especially old school parents who were like just working from a young age trying to help their own parents who were struggling really badly, you know? So take that time to really, you know, do some introspection and follow up with yourself and, you know, really understand what it is that you want, you know, what you want to pursue, what you want to put your time into. And firstly is to always keep doing something, you know. There was so much time that I spent thinking about everything that, you know, action, action, action. You know, analysis leads to paralysis, or it could over analysis leads to paralysis. So, you know, don't just sit there thinking about things. And it's like you don't have to like weave a super complex web to just get your foot in the door. Like literally just take that first small step. You know, when I wanted to be a cook, all I did was go work in a restaurant for a little bit, you know, and get some background and understand the things that you're talking about, the things that you're seeing, you know, and then maybe you fill in some of the knowledge you're missing if you're looking to actually become like right there as a cook, you know. There's a lot of things you could do in life without like actually fully undertaking these things and becoming that, you know. A lot of the times fake it till you make it is actually, I mean, in the West, this shit is like part of our culture here, you know. You really you gotta assert yourself no matter what. So you just you cook, you cook, and that's one of the things that you could just do that shit at home. If you're good at cooking at home, you can just, I mean, I'm not going to encourage that, but you say what you got to say on your resume, and you know that stuff gets you in the door, you know. And if you could prove yourself, then you start from there, you know. Humble beginnings. You really, sometimes in this economy and the way things are, it's like there are entry level jobs where they like want you to have like a year or two experience, and it's just it's completely unreasonable, to be quite honest. I could understand if it was like an entry level position for something exquisite, you know, high standards, and you know the responsibilities. I don't know, you're gonna get sued or some shit that people could get hurt, but you know, cooking fairly so. But there are managers, supervisors, and everything. You need a food handler's license to be a supervisor or a manager, so those people should know what they're doing for the most part. You get your foot in the door, just do what you can to get that job, and then you prove yourself, you know? And that's what I did. Started as in a restaurant. I started as a busboy. Then I was working as a server. And then from there, I worked at a different place, and I got a job as a cook, and then I was working as a kitchen manager a year later after working as a cook, you know? So you really you have to you have to be observant. I use my analytical skills to like realize what's going on, and then you have to self-evaluate, because after a year of working as a cook, I mean, I'm doing a lot of grunt work and things that nobody wants to do. So of course, when I could apply myself and take those responsibilities up, you take them and you prove yourself. You and even if not, if you're not making any headway there, there's tons of other jobs. Never feel like you're backed into a corner and there's really nothing that you're going to be able to do. And to be honest, if you're looking for a woman, I mean, even a man, cooking is an extremely useful tool to have. I mean, you can put a lot of smiles on people's faces and brighten up a lot of days by knowing how to cook a good meal, and it's always going to be a useful skill, especially if you're a picky person. So it happened to be something I love to do at home, and it was a lucky coincidence that it happened to be a very useful skill throughout my life, especially when you want to be in a relationship, or, you know, I don't know, stand out and have these other types of things. And then, you know, be worldly, do some DIY, you know, like put together stuff like furniture and everything. Like don't just pay people to do everything. Walk your own dog, you know, go outside, and yeah, just try to take care of your own life in the many ways that you could, like everything that's accessible to you. Like I got MS, and there's really very little that stops me mentally. I have to check myself sometimes and be like, all right, I got to do this different, or, you know, this I just straight up can't do. But for the most part, I'm always trying to do it and just like throwing myself into a lot of the things that I commit myself to. You know, anything that I'm going to put myself into, it's going to be like committed. Otherwise, I'm not going to bother. So, same thing, you know, now I'm starting to ramble, so it's probably a good time to say goodbye, everybody. I appreciate you listening. Thank you. If you liked, please subscribe, like the video. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Love yous all. Take care.